نحن المفروض نستفيد من اليهود عندهم ناس نجحوا في ساوث أمريكا، ساوث أفريقيا، آسيا، ماليزيا، سعودي أرابيا، عندهم تجارب حياة مع كل الشعوب، لكن هم شعب واحد. Isn't that in common with black people? نحن we look at ourselves as side characters in the Arab story or in the Western story or in something. لكن we have to look at ourselves as the main character in our story. Isn't it scary the thought that everything you're seeing, there's a chance it could be fake? Something that is not a new problem, but it's a problem that is becoming glaringly obvious now, is that we think about markets, money is gonna make money, is gonna make the 1% rich, is gonna make things easier, but we never think of the philosophical and the social implications. The Sudanese war doesn't look like it's gonna end soon. The situation is dire, but there is the war in Sudan, which I think is a war all about the African identity and blackness. I bring it back to that. Yes, it has money in it, but it has identity at the core of it, and I think it has the unity of Africa as its best case scenario. Palestine, an ancient place in world history, a pillar, a repository of history. Sudan, the cradle of civilization, really. Damascus, the oldest surviving city in the world today. Baghdad, like all the pillars that have a window into the past to articulate history for us are destroyed or getting destroyed right now. Welcome to Rugrag. Welcome to another episode. We have been absent for a while, but here we are. We're back. Amro.
That is true.
Welcome.
That is true. The last episode we've recorded was just a little bit before my wedding, so I had the privilege of having Omer be my simultaneously best man and also the officiant. Is that what you call it?
The celebrant.
The celebrant. Yes.
Celebrant is like al-ma'zoon without the religion.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But we did have a ma'zoon.
That's my favorite thing about the white world there. They find a non-religious version of all these religious things.
Yeah. So I'm proud to say that he had his mustache and everything. So that was perfect. That was all right.
No, I enjoyed it, man. For me, I just enjoy being like speaking in public in any sort of capacity. I love it like a child. But doing it in that way and doing it in front of your family and seeing the people who truly love you without a shred of a doubt. And same with Mira, and just having that intimate, where we got to know, like I feel like I'm best friends with your family now, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like we got to know each other slowly, and we had so many situations in the proceedings, and then the party was just beautiful because, the emotions were clear and transparent. And my problem with weddings, I hated weddings growing up. I hated when my family I hated my own wedding gown. I really hated it. And I'll tell you why. Now I know why. It's because there's a lot of fake shit that goes on in weddings.
Yeah, that's true. That's
okay?
True.
It's just as simple as that. It's just there's a lot of people that don't give a shit but are there. There's a lot of rituals that we repeat but we don't understand. And there's this pressure to appear as something you're not, which is what I hate the most.
I didn't even shave.
No, you did.
I
Mira
didn't
would
even.
have killed you. No way. Of course you shaved.
No, I did. Yeah, I did. Of course, yeah. But that was about it, really. I had a suit.
You had a brilliant suit. He looked great. He had a great suit. Mira looked wonderful. Nadia came with me, my girlfriend. It was just beautiful.
It was beautiful. So that has happened since the last episode. And I came back with a massive injury, like a back injury. So that was a hurdle. That was a really life-changing experience. And now we're healthy. I'm healthy. And we press record one more time on Rugrag. So that's briefly my end.
كان عرس، نحن مشينا عرس الزول ده. كان عرس جميل في ماليزيا، سافرنا غيرنا جو يعني كانت حاجة جميلة. أنا شايف إنه نحن كسودانيين المفروض نتعلم، المفروض نتطور في إنه يا أخي أعزموا الناس المعني بيها and like
وخلاص كفاية.
Like be genuine.
Yeah.
You know, be genuine and general and don't do something you don't feel no matter how much you get pressured. أنا برضو يعني قادر أقدر إنه نحن السودانيين زعاطين وبنعمل pressure وبعدين أنت لو لاحظتوا هسه أنا قاعد أتكلم عربي مظبوط لانه انا اكتشفت يعني جاني السؤال من كذا حته يعني حتى جوني الناس اللي بيتكلموا انجليزي وعاجبهم الكونتنت قالوا لي يا اخي انت بتتكلم عربي ما قاعد نفهمك وجوني السودانيين قالوا لي يا اخي الشو ده لو ليك انت وللسودانيين زيك المفروض تجينا بلغتنا وطبعا انا عندي اراء كثير في انه الناس دي معتبره انه اللغه الام هي العربي دي انا عندي معاها مشاكل لكن that's besides the point. I accept that's where we are today.
النقطة دي بتاعت 4 حلقات.
أيوة لا.
الجداعة دي حسي.
So at least you know we're never running out of content. لكن أنا داير أعمله إنه أنا ما داير أمثل. أنا حتكلم عربي وإنجليزي. والله the first possibility إنه أنا أقدر أترجم وأخذت لكم subtitles تشرح اللغتين هعملها. لكن أنا شايف جزء أساسي من إني أنا زول أفريقي سوداني إنه أنا بقدر أعيش في العالم العربي وبقدر أعيش في العالم الغربي، لكن ما أقدر أعيش في العالم الأفريقي. which is a question.
ليه كده يا ابني؟
لا ده سؤال، ما أنا بقدر، لكن بشوف إنه نحن كأفارقة ما قاعد نريح بعض، قاعد نمشي نرتاح برا. you know لأنه ونحن ناس موهوبين ونحن ناس هسه الليلة قبل جو ناس شافونا بس بنسجل هنا وخشوا وتونسنا في التاريخ وتونسنا في هم بيعملوا شنو وظائفنا وشغلنا، وكانت بقمة البساطة. فلازم نخلي الباب ده فاتح. لكن نحن المفتاح. السودانيين Sudanese people we're the key to blackness. لأنه نحن لو حلينا الكونفيوجن الجوانا القصة دي حتنجلي على باقي السود كلهم والأفارقة. and you can quote me on that. I can guarantee you that.
انت يا عمر, when we met you used to say Sudanese people have a huge identity crisis, and not being familiar with the things that you preach, I was like, what is this guy بتقولش, you know, what is he talking about? And like having known you for years now, I understand completely what you mean by that.
Fair.
إن أنت أفريقي وأنت عربي وأنت مسلم, لكن السودان ذاته فيه a lot of other religions, فيه a lot of other identities, and having to assimilate that and also take all that amazing mix and take it overseas في العالم في الشرق الأوسط, or even overseas like really like Europe or Australia or America or whatever. That's huge too.
Yes.
You see, and I've always struggled with that question, you know.
أيوة,
you know
هو سؤال مهم, وهو سؤال نحن بالمناسبة نحن المفروض نستفيد من اليهود في الحتة دي.
It's a sensitive topic.
Why?
Right
لا, it's very simple. It's social science. It's very simple. It's not controversial. What is it? اليهود عندهم ناس نجحوا في South America, South Africa, Asia, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, عرفتها. عندهم تجارب حياة مع كل الشعوب, لكن هم شعب واحد. Isn't that in common with black people? Isn't that identical? يعني نحن الليلة عندك الزول العاش مع الإماراتيين في الإمارات, عندك العاش في أمريكا, عندك العاش في روسيا. نحن كمان مع الحزب الشيوعي السوداني كان how strong it was. في كتار عندهم الcultural affiliation ده, وبنعرس من برا, and we had success and failure in that. لكن نحن لازم نتعلم من اليهود إنه at the end of the day ده لازم كله يتكبى في حلة واحدة. ده كله لازم يمشي لمصلحة peoplehood, ما على حساب ناس تانين. لكن انت زي هسي مثلا انا كانديفيديوال لو ما عبرت نفسي وقدرت نفسي وسيلبريت ماي سيلف ما حيحترمني زول. لو انا مستني الناس تقول لي انت محترم, لا, انا لازم اقول لنفسي اول, وانا لازم اتشاف كده قدام نفسي ووسط ناسي in front of my people. I need to look like that, and I need to look like what I am, and I need to be genuine, and I need to be self-respecting. ده احترام النفس. احترم نفسك دي اللي بيقولوها كثير السودانيين. what does it mean؟ شوف الفاليو, القيمة بتاعت نفسك, وما تهزر فيها. ما تجامل ساي, ما يجيك زول بيتك تدي سرير أخوك, تجلي أخوك. ده ما فيها نكران ذات. there is an element of that.
I think as a Sudanese احنا عندنا we have that a lot.
self denial.
ده كثير. what do they call it? هنا ده بيسموه the tall poppy syndrome. Like if you're a tall poppy, you'll get chopped. because السودانيين احنا عندنا الحتة دي.
عندنا لها شديد. أنا عندي لها. أنا بتعامل, أنا قلت فيني كتير, لكن بتعامل معاها ليه من الليلة. يعني أنا الليلة طيب الفرق شنو؟ أنا الليلة مثلا example بسيط, جاء زول بايت معي. أنا أخوي قاعد معي في البيت, وأختي طبعا أوضتها ما بتتهبش of course naturally, لأنه بديها more privacy وكده. لكن أنا وأخوي طبعا الزول جاي بيت معنا, حنلعب معاه بلاي ستيشن, حنقعد معاه, حنمرق بالليل, نجيب حاجات من الدكان, حنحضر فيلم, حينوم وين ما حينوم وين, دي موضوع. يلا انا بقيت ما بشيل سرير اخوي, بقول لزول ده ارتاح, انه ما بدي الاولويه دي. بقول له انت لن تكون مرتاح لدرجه انك انت تعبر عن نفسك. داير تنام في الكنبه يا اخي نوم. داير تنام في السرير عندك هناك، انا بتوقعك انت تقول انا داير انام في السرير لانه عندي حاجه. لكن انا زمان ولا نحن الجيل اللي فات كان خلاص جا زول بتجي البيت، انا كنت بجي البيت بلقى زول قاعد في سريري.
And you're not even told, man.
Which is fucking annoying, man.
انت حياتك
It's
كلها
really
في
annoying
دي.
لانه بتهمش نفسك. حتى لما تكبر بتلقى انت مهمش نفسك، بتلقى انت اي وقت يجيك في حياتك لازم تدي نفسك وقت عشان تديفلوب. بتقول لا انا ما بستاهل الوقت ده، بتمشي تدي الوقت ده بتساعد زول تاني.
Yeah.
واتحداكم I dare you Sudanese people to deny that. I dare you, man. Like this is a problem we've had and I've observed it beyond contestation.
And I think that's why other nations say in the Sudanese shop طيب and so on and so forth. But that comes with, it's a double-edged sword. Shop
أيوة.
طيب from one end, but also a
self-denial.
self-denial, lack
هو
of
وبعدين
self-love.
هما حاجتين مختلفين. Right? نحن let's also break that down because it will be useful to other people. لأنه أنا I can be زول طيب. أنا ما أقول لكم reject that. تبقوا villains, grow horns. No. ونحن we're good people because we have a spiritual depth that allows us to empathize at a really high level. That's a strength any day. Okay? لكن you need to look at that and then you need to look at being decolonized and loving yourself and looking at yourself as the main character in your story. If you don't look at, we look at ourselves as side characters in the Arab story or in the Western story or in something. لكن we have to look at ourselves as the main character in our story. Once that happens, everything changes. ودي ما لها علاقة انت رزول طيب. دي لها علاقة بان انت عارف الطيبة المفروض تجي في وين. انت عارف انه دي ما طيبة بعد ده سيلف دينايل وانا بأذي اولادي. ده سيلف دينايل وانا حخلي اولادي يقوموا في عالم ما حقهم. انا when I teach my kid that اي شيء بتدي الزول ده على حساب نفسك، انا how can I انت كيف you're a criminal when you do that. لانه بتعلم ولدك ما يحب نفسه وانت حتموت تخليه في الدنيا دي، والدنيا دي is not forgiving. So love them, defend them in public, you know, like go to war for your people and for your self-worth and fight and have the courage to lose if you have to. لكن lose your way rather than just always survival. يا أخي, what's the worst thing that can happen in this world? You're gonna die? يا أخي, die someone worthy of respect.
That's easy to say if you're an individual, I suppose. But if you have a family, you might be coming from that place.
I understand.
But yeah, I get also what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying too. I understand that it's very different when you have people depending on you.
Yeah.
And you have limited opportunity and you need to make choices. لكن someone has to break the cycle. عرفت؟ وبعدين what is the thing? لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما بوسعها. Whatever you're going through, no matter how it feels like to you, you can handle it. We need to believe that as a blanket. Because it's true, not because it's nice to believe. It's true.
Do you think الطيبة بتاعت السودانيين بتجي من إنه لأنه إحنا we live as communities, so the individualistic self is not really that. الزول ما بفكر بنفسه، بفكر بالناس كلها. You're just taught,
collectivism versus individualism. A lot of people said what you're saying. إنه نحن collectivist society. عشان كده ما بندي الagency للindividual يعني يجود كتير. We kind of curb the individual freedom for the well-being of the community, which I think in essence is correct, is the right way to go about things. لأنه the Western way, which is a generalization at the moment, like in the Western way, which is the individual needs to satisfy all their desires and that should be their only aim, is not going to cut it. You can see what's happening now. If there weren't money where we're living, you would see the cracks in society. There's a lot of loneliness. There's a lot of isolation. There's a lot of help that you could get, but you're not going to get because you have too much pride to ask. And so on and so forth. فالحل في النص. We need strong individuals to build a strong community. لكن الindividual لازم يفهم where the limit of their individual freedom is. And I like the Islamic version of this. ولا محمود محمد طه شرحها في كتابه. Mahmoud Muhammad Taha is a Sudanese thinker who is a genius, in my opinion, who explained this. He said that Islam gives you the absolute individual freedom until you lose it by your behavior. Yani let's say you're free to eat where you please. You're free to go where you please. You're free to mix where you please. You're free to work where you please. until your behavior reflects that you are unsuitable for that freedom, then you lose it. And rehabilitation happens so you can earn it back. And he thinks that the prison or the rehabilitation system and the crime and punishment and the law system should be built in to enable that journey, where you have absolute freedom, you behave in a way that impacts those around you negatively, you should lose that freedom, but you should be given a path to gain it back on a truthful ground.
I feel like that reflects, I want to first ask you for an example to clarify, but also want to say that that reflects just the natural way things are. You know, you always yearn for that sense of wonder and freedom that you've had as a child, but then, you know, you have the restrictions that society gives you, so you kind of get those shackles, and as you grow up, you kind of break away from them, now to have the sense of freedom, but also a sense of responsibility to use that freedom. Now you grow into it, but with knowing how to use it properly.
It comes from this place that freedom is not indulgence. Freedom is a responsibility. Freedom and responsibility are the same thing. ما ممكن تجزئهم. عرفت؟ يعني أنا I feel like I'll give you an example. Okay? يعني أنا الليلة زول راجل I'm 33. I am fairly free. عرفت؟ يعني بقدر أعمل حاجة بتخطر في بالي more likely than not بقدر أعملها. لكن let's say هسي أنا مثلاً شفت لي someone interesting بنت جميلة أي حاجة أنا ممكن أمشي أقول لها يا أخي أهلا hi how are you I think you're beautiful so on and so forth وممكن تقول لي يا أخي I'm not interested I'm busy I'm married I'm this I'm that whatever and I should be able to go like oh sorry thank you I'm out يلا. And if I don't understand the limits of my freedom here, بقول no, how dare she say no to me? Well, there's men like that. They exist. How dare she say no to me? And then we start conniving or we start being forceful. طبعا كل area has its version of how people attempt to be that. And that is a misunderstanding of your freedom and responsibility.
Okay.
See? طبعا لأنه that's problematic because it can cause التحرش, it can cause harassment, it can cause rape, it can cause discomfort, it can cause mistrust between the genders that becomes a generational thing. So دي حاجة مثلا a simpler example حرامي زول عنده freedom خش use the freedom to steal, take something that doesn't belong to him. He needs to not be allowed in spaces where he can do that until he can be rehabilitated that what belongs to you is yours, what doesn't belong to you, you cannot take it without permission or purchasing it. Basic. فالcrime والlaw and punishment مفروض يجي from this place that every individual is absolutely free until their behavior disagrees with that sentiment. ده واحد. Second, every individual deserves a second chance, meaning they need to be given a chance to rehabilitate. Now we can go into this هتبقى very law kind of conversation, which I don't recommend because we can save it, but we can go into, okay, what are crimes that are punishable by death? Do you believe in capital punishment? Do you think that في حاجات لازم تقتل الزول؟ هل نحن الإنسانية المفروض ندي نفسنا القوة الرادعة دي؟ طبعا في الإسلام في capital punishment وفي a lot of وفي disagreements on where it's applicable and where it's not. لكن just to answer your question and without going further, these are the examples, right? نحن هسي But do you have anything to say or should we move to the next topic?
I think we can move to the next topic.
طيب عفوا sorry يا جماعة. طيب أنا I wanna address the current state of affairs, okay? لأنه what are we doing if we're not reflecting our times and how it's making us feel, okay? So I want to reflect أول شيء, let's start lighter before we go into the wars. Okay. Let's start with AI, man. AI has been a big story this year, okay? There was a stat, I think, I can't quote it, like when ChatGPT launched, how much interest and how much people registered to use it was unprecedented since iPhone something. I don't like those sensational headlines anyways, but it just shows, it goes to show how powerful and how transformative AI or artificial intelligence, الذكاء الاصطناعي, is. انا هسه قعدت سنه في الشغل.
Yeah.
دخلوا لنا طبعا ويستباك has to get with the trends, right? البنك الشغال فيه واي شركه كبيره بقى لنا huge marketing campaign kind of, in addition to being this tool that is scaring some people and that some people are very excited about. انت how do you take AI today?
I use it every day, man. And I use AI every day. This might sound bad. My friend Danny used to be the person behind the camera, and he's coming back. Danny's a photographer and a talented videographer, right? I have a friend of mine that started a restaurant, and we were in need to create images for the menu and for the marketing and stuff like that. Now, I could have hired a photographer, paid him $500-600, come on in, everybody cooks, blah, 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 snap photos, you have the library of all the meals. Or you could just go to Adobe Firefly.
How long would that have taken so the audience can appreciate?
A whole day, a whole work day.
That's besides the planning, which would have taken some time before.
The planning, getting the material, all that stuff. That's a whole day. You have 2 or 3 people in the kitchen, and then you have the videographer, possibly also a helping hand on all the gear.
So more people, more effort, more planning, and a lot of time
involved
to get
in
it done. And the quality is questionable until you get there and then you're satisfied. Okay.
Yeah. Or you can use Adobe Firefly, find a reference of an image that you like, input that, give it a prompt, tell it I want this, this, that, and it'll just give you options. And you can just keep generating these options until you run out of generative credits. And at that point, you just pay another $15 and you get 250 more tries to get whatever.
So wait, so is this the parallel to like a subscription model? You buy credits rather than have a subscription of unlimited prompts?
Yeah, it's right here, man. I've been using it, and the images are insane.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, look at that. That's a painting, bro. That's
that
a painting.
Looks
that's going
fantastic.
on that's going on in the restaurant. You know what I mean? So it's I sent him a quote. I was like, bro, could you?
Can you show these photos on the final video?
Sure.
Yeah, like they gotta see this, man.
Yeah, it's insane. It's really, really awesome. So
keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. So I told him, hey, can you send me a quote? That's Danny. We need this done. Blah blah blah. He said, awesome. I'll send you a quote. By the time he sent me the quote, I was already done with generating the image that I needed, which took 10 minutes of trying. But I was like, let me just see if we could just get this done externally. And I called him. I told him, bro, I'm sorry. We've done it. This is how I used AI. He said, you betrayed us. You betrayed all the creatives. But I'm a creative myself.
You said you betrayed all the creatives? Because that's a strong sentiment today. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Look at this, man. This is actually, this is not real.
It's really fantastic quality, man. It's insane.
Yeah, I'll maybe put this later, but it's a picture of a piece of chicken that is grilled.
It's delicious.
It's great.
And by the way, do you think it's justified? Do you think it's reasonable? The fear in the public today?
Absolutely.
Why?
Bro, 2 years ago when AI was just coming out, you saw all these Will Smith eating a pizza videos. You saw all these horrific AI generated videos of Will Smith eating a pizza. And now there is Sora by also OpenAI, and the videos that are created are you can't tell whether it's real or not.
The deep fakes, which they warned us about deep fakes.
Deep fakes is old news now, man. It's
beyond
insane.
that. Yeah,
it's insane. So yeah, of course, I can't tell whether it's real or not.
So one of the craziest things about AI is the fact that what you're looking at on a screen today, you could think is real, but it could so not be.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real. Happening now.
Yeah. But then again, the moon landing, is it real? Is it not? Pictures of the moon, all that stuff.
It's easier to hoax today. It's easier to create a hoax. Assuming that the moon landing was a hoax, which I have no information to prove.
Whether there was or not, the material that's being generated at that time to give to society, tell them it was real, that was in the 70s.
It wasn't. Man. Today
and still people debate, is it real or not today? The pictures that NASA gave out. So we'll always have that issue trusting the media and the output that media gives.
Did you hear about this? I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts the other day, and they were talking about Orson Welles. Orson Welles is one of the legends of Hollywood, okay? He did the movie Citizen Kane, if you heard about it. It's a movie that is, I think, can you check which decade it's from? I think it's from the 40s.
Yeah.
I think it's 40s. Citizen Kane, it's called.
Yeah, 50s, man.
So it's 1941 or it's 1941?
41, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay. Citizen Kane is considered by a lot of people to be the greatest movie out of Hollywood, to be like impactful as hell.
Yeah.
The point is not the movie. Orson Welles, who's the writer and an actor on the film, did this show for the radio. And the radio at the time, which is relevant to our conversation because we're talking about AI, radio was a new technology. And why was radio, who was radio scary to? Because all new technologies are scary, right? Going at the Industrial Revolution, when the steam engine came, the people who did the work that the steam engine is replacing are called the laggards, and they used to wear black masks and go into the factories and break the engines at night because they were afraid that their jobs are going to get replaced, which is exactly what's going on now. But in the 30s or so, radio was new. The newspaper channels were very afraid of radio because they thought they were being replaced. And there was this tension, and there was, in America specifically, right? And Orson Welles, there's a book called War of the Worlds, okay? And it became a movie that I think Steven Spielberg directed and Tom Cruise acted in. Like in that book is basically aliens, invasion, and it's a war of the worlds, right? And Citizen Kane did a broadcast, a retelling of the story on the radio where he treated it as real, deliberately, like it's happening, and people believed. And some people vacated their towns, and some people edited. And you know, it's a story, it's controversial, you can find it online. Some people think that it wasn't that crazy, people didn't panic that much. Some people think, no, they really panicked. And Orson Welles himself said that it showed him how volatile the truth is, like how he pretended and he used real sound effects and he used real place names, and suddenly people believed it. And some people attacked the intelligence of the American public using that.
Sure. But that's also that's just the people, man.
That's people, yes. That's just the public, right? So it's very relevant because it also captured attention between radio and newspapers as technologies
are
shifting, and how public panic can spread, right? And this is so relevant to the times we live in today, given the wars we're in. And how AI, we talked about it, like just to piggyback off your point where you said you use it at your work. And I work in change and communications. And bro, it almost like makes my job, and I write business communications. That means I get key talking points, key benefits. I understand what the program wants to express. And basically I have to write an email that goes out to 1,000 bankers, for instance, perfectly showing or perfectly communicating what needs to be communicated. Could be a new process, a new system, so on and so forth. Today, I can put the key talking points and get AI to build me a comms. Whereas before, I had to write every comma, every dot, have perfect punctuation, perfect grammar, have to proofread myself. I don't proofread anymore. I proofread today out of habit, really, not because I need. I don't have to write every single syllable. I don't have to check my spelling. And I'm strong in all these. I am great in spelling and all that, but it's almost useless to be that strong anymore. Okay? Thank God I'm good at other things, or else this would have been scary. So I empathize with the scared people. And then basically how Microsoft Copilot as well, integrates with Microsoft Office, and you can analyze anything on the fly, and you don't have to read. And I personally think there's a danger to that.
I think you're gonna have to upgrade your skills from someone who creates like the communications that you do, to someone who writes the prompts or leads the creation.
Yes.
So you basically, the things that you used to do manually, the grunt work, now you don't have to do the grunt work, now you can free yourself to the creative work and just direct it.
Precisely.
This is good, man.
In a way.
Yeah.
But let me give you the other side, because I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Right? I think that this is the shift that I have made. Absolutely right. I think it does free me up for more creative work, right? Absolutely. However, the craft of writing, being a good writer is writing, is not thinking creatively. Writing is a craft. It's a science. There is good writing, there is bad writing. And the world is already fucked because I think we don't have as many good writers as we had in the past already today. We don't have enough people who have the attention span, man. Who can sit down and go like, oh, and there's not enough people reading. Because the thing, to be a great writer, you have to read a lot. And you have to read things you like so you can, oh wow, he expressed this so beautifully. And I did that for a long time, right? And I think that I've come to a level in writing that I can respect, that I like. But I think that now, I know better. I write every morning still with my hand. I write for 10, 15 minutes. And I do it with my partner, Nadia. It's fantastic. It's a meditation. So I am not complaining because I feel like I'm smart enough to still take care of my craft, right? But I would advise people to not let AI replace their critical thinking mind, their reflective mind, their corrective mind. Because the mind is very powerful, and if you don't train it, it's like a muscle. If you're not reading, you can't read later. It's like the gym, man. If I'm not lifting, I'm not gonna lift those 40 kgs if I'm not lifting for 6 months. But if I'm lifting every day, I can lift them and then add to them and then add, and my capacity increases slowly. I feel like writing, drawing, sketching, so on and so forth is the same. And I do believe it is worth keeping these crafts within your control as an individual. I'm not talking here beyond that. I think that strong individual is an individual that can think independently, critically analyze, discern reality from fiction. But AI is not helping that. I feel like the way they're telling us to use it, yes, but bro, leaving the craft and the nitty-gritty of the craft for, let's say, a young writer who's 24, and they're gonna focus on prompts, is not helping them as a writer. That's not good. I think that if you tell me this to a 50-year-old writer who's been writing for 40 years and has written every possible way possible, which is not really possible, but that experienced person, I could understand that transition more. I'm taking more of a backhand. I'm going to direct what gets written than write it personally. And I'm going to save money because I don't have to hire writers now. I understand that. And I think that's a benefit. And I think that's wonderful. But I think that as a young dude, if you're in your 20s, you should be writing your own shit. I feel like you should be developing the craft so you can even appreciate its beauty. So you can appreciate something that's badly written versus something that's well written. And I'm talking about business communications. Business communications to creative writing is fucking boring and soul-sucking, right? So there's also creative writing. There's people attempting creative writing with AI, which I think is a mindfuck.
To a certain extent, I agree with you. Look, I agree 100% with what you're saying, but that 24-year-old now is transitioning into, and I use that word carefully, transitioning into being, it's a new job perhaps that is not there yet, right? A prompt master, I'd call it, right? And if that's the world we're going to be living in which AI is integrated into everything, and it's not just a hype word anymore, but it's actually a reality, then it's not that bad, is it, right? Because before you wrote with a pen, you wrote with a feather, whatever the hell you call it, right? And
before you wrote on paper, you wrote on papyrus.
Yeah,
and technology evolves. Yep.
So I get what you mean in terms of if you neglect that skill that you perhaps had before 2018 when AI 2019 became a big thing. Oh, you're gonna lose it, because I get that. I don't sketch as much anymore, but I still have the same muscle memory, the skills that I need to be able to modify an image that AI has generated for me. And use my pen and tablet and change things if I want to. I know it's really important. I should be sketching more and so on and so forth. But in a world in which I need to be able to generate and make these things quickly and share them because I'm competing with the rest out there,
because
then
you're
it's
also
so
talking
useful.
You're also talking economics here. You're talking about just you needing to do work and needing to deliver. If you're stuck, I'm trying to be a real writer, you're gonna be a broke real writer, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, okay. No, look, you can still tell whether something has been generated by like ChatGPT or not, right? It lacks the edge.
Yeah.
It can simulate what a human experience is, but it's not really that. It's kind of polished, you know? Like if you take a human experience, put it in a microwave for a little bit, it'll come out kind of smoothed out. You know what I mean?
I don't think everybody can see that though.
That's true.
I think
That's
that
true.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
true.
it's
Like
true.
to me, I can relate. I can see, oh, that's AI writing. I think a lot of people can, but I do think there's a lot more people who can't, especially if you publish it as not AI. If you example publish an article now that's not written by someone, you know, and I don't think that everything written by people is biblical and everything written by machine is not, but at least you can hold a person accountable.
That's true. But I think we will have tools that will let us know if something has been generated by AI or not. Right? Like universities already
Probably,
use this.
yeah.
So,
I
but
think-
there's another tool counter to that tool.
Yeah.
Like
I
if-
think that makes sense for it to come, like checks and balances, right?
Yeah, eventually that will happen. So, or it's happening now, but it will be a white thing. You know, it will also be another subscription model that you need to pay for to know if something is AI generated or not. It's just responsible, and I'm sure there will be some sort of authority figures or bodies of authority that will enforce that.
And in
sense
terms of
sense,
truth,
you know what I
like,
mean?
in terms of truth manipulation, in
Oh,
terms
for
of
sure, be used for that.
yeah, in terms
Bro.
of like, no, how dangerous is it? In terms of like, we all today, we live a metropolitan life. We check the news. We're on social media. Isn't it scary the thought that everything you're seeing, there's a chance it could be fake?
Well, everything you're seeing now is manipulated by people to confirm their agendas to begin with. Now it can definitely be fake, 100%.
Yeah.
And you know who's gonna be affected? The 60-year-olds, bro. The people who are just watching TV passively in the morning, right? Like all these people. They don't know, man. They don't know.
Yeah, and also, you know how old people here, being a rich generation, how they get targeted by scammers and so on. AI probably made these scammers evolve into their next iteration.
Bro.
Right.
على الديجيتال الموسم الرابع.
And these old fucks have no chance against that. Sorry, I can't say. I have compassion for the older generation.
Old fuck. You're an old person, not an old fuck.
Yeah, no, I
But
do.
if you can fuck while you're being old,
I do disagree with the way society here treats the elder.
Sure.
And old age, but yeah, I don't want to get into that. But yeah, they're an easy target, you know. And I think AI, manipulation of truth, and kids just being able to generate on the fly, and even people like me, not just kids, the competition becomes weird. You know, everything becomes, oh, did you do it? Did you not? And I appreciate your point where if you're a good prompt engineer, and prompting is what, okay? Prompting here, the request that you put to the AI machine, whichever one you're dealing with, and it's a large language model. So it's something that self-learns based on all the data it has access to bring you the closest thing to your request. So how good your request is and how articulate it is very important to the quality of the output you get from AI. So I say that to say I understand that being a prompt engineer is a skill today. Being a prompt refiner, like, because you get it and then it gives you a version and then you tell it, can you edit it like this? Can you adjust it? That's also a skill and a patience. And I appreciate that. And I think that I'm developing that as well because I'm using that. But I don't think there is enough guidance to the 8 billion people in the world who have different levels of education, capacities, intelligences, resources, clean water, safety. I don't think we have enough education, and this can be used very, very carelessly and can be very problematic. And I think this is just the beginning. So while I agree that we can't just take an afraid position, and we need to take an inspired position to shape the world we live in, because we do shape it, because it is us. At the end of the day, even AI wouldn't have come through the door without us. We are the shapers of this world, and I think we need to take responsibility for that. But I do think something that is not a new problem, but it's a problem that is becoming glaringly obvious now, is that we think about markets, money, is going to make money, is going to do this, is going to make the 1% rich, is going to make things easier. But we never think of the philosophical dimensions and the social implications of these things. And I think if we keep going in that direction where we ignore the social, philosophical, and spiritual implications of a thing, I think we're going to get exactly what we ask for, which is what's happening with the climate, which is the state of society divided with a supposition that we are united, but we're not. trying to ignore race, trying to ignore culture, but we're not talking is the problem. So I do think that it's another blow in that direction. I don't think it helps. I think it helps materialistically in terms of achieving things. Like, I don't think it helps us with the actual problem that we're having, which is to slow things down and to articulate and to be thoughtful in our actions and thoughts.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I mean, we have opposing thumbs, so...
That's
I feel
fair.
like, yeah, I mean, if you continue using the opposing thumb to create more technology, you're obviously going to get more further away from the source, which is the stuff that you're bringing about.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Maybe I'm idealistic, but maybe
But
we
it is true. It needs to be addressed.
Yes.
You know, it needs to be addressed.
We'll leave you guys with that on this topic, okay? Thank you, Amro. You created a fantastic, stimulating conversation. Anyway, now, نخش في الحتة. Okay, we covered AI. We want to talk about, you know, I'm not even going to talk about Trump and America, okay? Like, we can, you know, not because I think it's a joke. I think what America does has implications regardless. But we need to bring attention to the rising tensions in the world. Like, we have the war in Sudan, which is obviously closest to my heart, which I follow, which I kind of just go through the pain every day, and I feel like it's a healthy thing to actually come to terms with the pain rather than avoid it. And it touches me, and it touches my people, and I see people suffering, and it's terrible. And the Sudanese war doesn't look like it's going to end soon. The situation is dire. The countries fighting through a proxy, being Emirat, being the United States, being Russia, being all these countries, I'm not placing the blame on them, because I think that it's just that people take advantage of situations, and world politics works based on interest. What is your best interest, not what is right and wrong, which I think is something that should be challenged if you want to evolve as a human race, right? But there is the war in Sudan, which I think is a war all about the African identity and blackness. I bring it back to that. Yes, it has money in it, but it has identity at the core of it. And I think it has the unity of Africa as its best case scenario. Now, go not so far away from it, the Israel and Palestine war, which is a genocide. Let's say that. Let's say that bluntly and directly, because I've done the research, I've second-guessed myself, I have doubted myself before saying it, because first of all, I try to find truth. I'm not trying to join a camp, right? I'm not, like, I don't hate Jews, man, at all. I think Jews are humans like me, and they want to find truth like me. And they are born into biases that they couldn't help but be born into, like everyone else. And it's not like the Palestinians or Arabs are perfect people. No one is perfect. We have issues as a human race that we need to address with a sense of justice and clarity. So, but what's happening in Palestine is genocide. And that is a condemnation of the state of Israel. Of the state of Israel. And I think it's rooted in a couple of things, right? I think that if you're looking at it politically and like what is smart politically, you understand everything Israel is saying. They're trying to make it impossible, okay, for the solution, for a two-state solution to be a possibility in the first place. They want to make it uninhabitable, Gaza. اللي بقوا ما بتقدر تعيش فيها. They're trying to kill them. We all saw the horrific videos. We all saw this. Like, and we need to focus that Netanyahu is trying to commit genocide because he's trying to make the situation so irreversible that the world goes like, all right, go ahead, take it. And then we got to come to the points of anti-Semitism and how it's used to kind of fend people off critiquing or giving feedback to what the activities of the Jewish state is doing. First of all, are you a Jewish state? Are you not? The Tel Aviv Jew says, I am liberal. I am an extension of America in the Middle East. I fight for liberty. I don't believe in the barbaric things that that region of the world is known for, and so on and so forth, right? And then you have the Judea and Samaria and those West Bank Jews who are very close to the Palestinians in daily life in terms of olive oil and how they eat olives and how they dress, and they feel a connection to the land and so on and so forth. They have very different opinions. These people are looking at it religiously. Bayt al-Maqdis, Bayt al-Miqdash, how they say it, Al-Haykal bita Sulaiman and Al-Quds, and that whole thing comes into it. But the political rhetoric of Israel kind of is based on being a shape-shifting, is based on not being able to be called one thing. That is why it's very difficult for the West, which is ridden with guilt, that they can't, like imagine Germany condemns Israel. They can't, they're fucked, right? It's like a man who cheated, you know, he's not gonna be able to tell his wife, yo, why are you coming home late? Nigga, you've been cheating. Okay, it's a terrible analogy probably, but the fact
it
that
drives the point.
but the fact that Hitler happened and the genocide happened and caused the Jews, which was atrocious, I don't think anyone can disagree with that. But I think it placed an unfair guilt on the German public today, because Germans are an important pillar of the world today. That's one. Two, everybody who criticizes the collective of Jews is being dismissed as an anti-Semite. I think that is problematic. I think that it's like someone who's traumatized, right? Doesn't want to hear it. What? You said that word that I heard. You know, it's like, it's not a conversation. And I think that's where the problem is. I think obviously being an anti-Semite, hating the Jews because they're Jews is terrible.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that thinking everyone is an anti-Semite is equally terrible. So I think we need something to give. I think we need to talk, and we need to be able to call a thing, right? What's happening to the Palestinians is atrocious, extreme. It has gone too long. It has made me feel like the world we live in probably has very minimal truth in it left, very minimal people who are willing to risk it all to say it. And I say that without judgment, because I understand where people are at, and I say this from a place of privilege. But it's a genocide, man. Like, I looked at it every other way. If we analyzed it from the October 7 attacks, and we take it through every conference, every statement by the IDF from Israel, it's terrible. And then if you look at it, like I saw a statement Saudi Arabia made a few months back where they said, we're not going to help Israel achieve its plan by opening our doors for Palestinians because Palestinians want their own country. Which is true in a sense, but it's also...
What a convenient thing to say.
No, but also convenient for the Saudis or the Arabs who don't really want to touch that. Because we know you don't really want to touch that, because we know we're Sudanese. We know what it is to be Palestinian. We know it, right? Like, I think, like, we know it too well. It's not right to compare pains, but we know it. Let's just say that, right? And this is connected to that war of blackness. Like Palestine, an ancient place in world history, a pillar, a repository of history. Sudan, a repository of history, the cradle of civilization, really. Damascus, the oldest surviving city in the world today. Baghdad, like, just
you're talking about history. Yeah.
All the pillars that have a window into the past to articulate history for us are destroyed or getting destroyed right now.
It's a plan to get people to forget their history, man.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, tell me that without saying it. You know what I mean? It is, I think that's what it is. But we need to do research to prove or disprove that. This is not enough, right? Like, but I think I read a lot, like in terms of Israel and Palestine, I'm very well educated on the topic. The Israel lobby, the social tensions in Israel before October 7th. If you look at all that and think, wait, what would I do to save face, to ensure survival? and without consideration for anyone else, you'll do what Israel, the state, is doing. I have no problem with a Jewish person who has their heart on the truth. We can talk and conversate and we can move things along. But I will be a hell of an enemy for anyone trying to convince me the truth is not the truth. For anyone trying to muddy that water. For anyone sacrificing the future of children who are voiceless and defenseless. I would die on this mountain and I don't give a fuck, honestly. I will disagree with anyone. And I think it has reached that level. I think it has reached that level where it's an absolute genocide justified by the fact that we went through pain, so we're going to cause it, which is not the way. Because that way, us black people should burn the world. Do you know what I mean? So, anyway, that's that on that. Then we have the third global issue, which is happening as well, which I appreciate you might not be close to it, even though it's the closest one to us geographically, which is the Taiwan-China tension.
Oh.
Right? And, you know, Taiwan is probably known to you as one of the biggest producers of semiconductors, which goes into, like, it's important economically for the world. It has great world relations. However, China, much like Putin thinks about Ukraine, China thinks this is ours and it's us and it should be under our rule and we will claim it back no matter what. Of course, this is the layman version of it. Go study, right? And Taiwan says we're independent. They had an election this year, actually, where the president declared we are an independent country. America says we'll defend you, Taiwan. China says, yo, if we get a chance, we're going to do it. We're going to take you back. China's been intimidating them with you know, like theatrics of war, showing them their military thing, penetrating their air zone, and just showing them, hey, if you want to fuck with you, we can fuck with you. And that is also a very important tension or issue to make us as a human race introspect before we leap to the next stage of finding a place for everyone. Because that tension, who's going to referee it? Does China have a point? Or no, does the US have a point? Move on. We need to create a great market. I don't give a fuck about history. We need to create a good market. Or does Taiwan itself, how should it be judged and refereed in this instance? Like, I think we should maybe get a guest who is more impacted by this at some point and really interview them, but I am absolutely interested. But now I brought all that up to say that the world is bubbling. Like, imagine a pot on fire, on low fire, it's bubbling, it's gonna boil over, okay? Ukraine, I didn't even mention it yet, which is basically, it basically shows you the relationship of the US and Europe today. It shows you how history is an explanation of the present, how Putin using ancient rhetoric, Xi Jinping using ancient rhetoric, and even the Afrocentric movement going like, we're the cradle of civilization, like I do, how that is something that is a pattern now. People want truth. People don't want this market economy where nobody's nobody. We need to be proud of who we are, and then we can bring what we have and share it with the world on equal fronts. And I think that vision, for it to be achieved, we need to have the tough conversations.
Need to ask you this, man. Actually, awesome, first of all. Clap. That was an incredible monologue. I feel like all of us have benefited from hearing this.
Thank you. Don't speak for them. Okay, love it. Yeah.
Trump said he'll end the war in Ukraine. He said what? He said he'll end it in 24 hours, which is a very Trumpy thing to say.
That's crazy. Bro, like, tell me.
What do you mean?
I don't know anything.
What are you talking about?
It's crazy.
24 hours.
No,
you think he's going to do it though?
No, I think that's populist shit for the election, man. That's just election. And you know, the America needs to wake up, because America's elections became entertainment. Bro, what kind of presidential election is an entertaining thing that runs on air for kids, for busy people commuting? Like, that's not a debate.
You could have bet on it.
Yeah, you're telling the people what they want to hear.
You could have gambled on it.
Yeah, and you can gamble on it.
You can literally gamble on it.
It's like sports. That gambling problem, by the way, is the whole fucking thing.
It went to court whether you could gamble on it, and the companies won. Yeah, you can now gamble on it.
So if you can gamble on that, do you fucking trust it? How can you trust it?
You can gamble on it, bro.
Like you can gamble on it. It's like someone is going to be my president.
I'm gonna take a bet. I'm gonna take a bet.
And Republicans versus Democrats. It's just outdated.
It's insane, huh?
It's a popularity contest. There is no material change to the world. Whether the Democrats or the liberals win, they're just going to speed up or slow down certain things. But there is nothing radical. There is nothing that's going to shift there. Okay? And America being a very important, like I think one of the most important culture today, as it pertains to the rest of us, is not trending in the right direction, right? I look at African Americans with a nuance. I look at them as they have a responsibility and a privilege towards other Africans. You know what I mean? But I look at them as also, they are victims of the body, not mind policy of America, where they took their bodies. You can be athletes, singers, talents, but I don't want what you think or what you think should happen. So that body, not mind thing, I think impacted them. I think the civil rights movement has been bought and hijacked, and the real American heroes have been kind of de-martyred, if that's a thing. And you know, like, and this is reflected, by the way, in my opinion, by how much there's Martin Luther King Day, but where's Malcolm X? Malcolm X did way more for black people. Malcolm X was not like delusional like Martin Luther King and talked about how Christianity is the way. Malcolm X was like, we are black before we're any religion. And we need to unite in that and then figure shit out. And I think that is just like very simply truthful as compared to that. But the thing that goes with the agenda of white America is Martin Luther King. So he becomes a hero. You should wear his t-shirts. Martin Luther King Day in the NBA. The NBA, like, I love basketball and I follow it, but some of the things, like, it's a joke. They're telling them to say things. They're telling them to promote agendas. They're telling them to do all this stuff, which is just questionable to say the least, right? But yeah, I think that Trump thing is just populist agenda. I think the reality is very different from what people think is the reality. And but I don't think that should be where we're concerned. I think we should be concerned with our peoplehood and gaining a position of strength so we can even interact with these systems in a way that reveals truth to them.
I just wanted to ask you, actually.
I love it.
I just wanted to, because it was ridiculous. I was like, what? That's one of the things that stuck with me.
In 24 hours?
Yeah, in 24 hours. Like, who the hell says that, man? Bro, I'll do it in 24 hours.
That is
you
crazy.
Watch.
That is
crazy. أخوي زمان لما كان صغير, he was like 3-4 years old. He was just able to speak, and he used to see me go to workout. My brother, I'm going to say this in English, right? He was 3-4 years old. He used to see me go to the gym and lift and all that. He used to look at my mom and be like, you know what? Amro's stupid. When I grow up, wallah, I will lift him with one pinky. That's the same equivalent. It's the same equivalent. I don't even need this gym. He's going to the gym where his muscle John Cena.
As a kid, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Funny,
no
man.
one's gonna hold you accountable. As a kid,
ridiculous.
That's
that's ridiculous,
funny.
man.
That's funny. All right, we move on. Okay.
What else do we have here, man?
So please, share your opinions on the conflicts. Share your knowledge. Share your interest. If you want to come on and it's possible for us to even expand on this stuff, go ahead. I'm just a guy looking for the truth.
And Omar also actually mentioned something earlier about having the show translated. We have a lot of people reaching out to us, wanting to participate in one way. If that's something that you wanna do, I'll happily let people. Yeah, like if you wanna
reach out.
If you wanna caption this whole thing,
of course I'll vet you. If you're a shit translator, I'm definitely not just gonna include you.
Actually,
I'm gonna thank you,
yeah.
But just be at least someone who's competent in the job. Let's be reasonable. And if you wanna do it, we can talk about it.
We won't pay you. I'm cheap, bro.
You don't know that.
Well, maybe.
Of course.
Of course.
No,
now
crazy.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we might.
The reward is in the work.
That's like, stuff, bro. You should learn.
That.
You know how they try to use you something? No, this is a lesson to learn from.
I'm trying to break the cycle and pay everybody who does a favor for me. Okay?
Okay.
I've done a lot of free work for motherfuckers. I like washing dishes, I like cleaning. There's a lot of things that people attach to the typical female role that I love doing, and I'm not stopping myself from doing them because I gotta be me. Don't stop yourself from subscribing to Rugrag because your friends think maybe you're woke, maybe it's too far in the future. Be a part of it, and later you'll thank me. صاحبي AG talked about how Generation X, which is the 60s and 70s, صح المواليد هناك، وفي الميلينيالز اللي هم نحن الثمانينات والتسعينات، وفي بعد ذاك جين زي، صح؟
احكي كلمة مليونير انا بعرف اكتبها. مليونير بتطلع لي.
مليونير.
ما بعرف اكتبها يعني بقاها سهلة لجين اكس وجين زي، احنا عملونا ميلينيال دي ليه؟
I think it's the coolest name by the way.
Do you think so, bro?
I think it's really
كأنها
cool.
ريحة is overrated. كأنه إعلان بيطلع في MBC2 زمان.
I kind of am inappropriately proud to belong to millennials.
Okay, I feel like you know what it means. I just don't know how to spell
I
it.
feel like I'm religious about that. I'm not religious about all the, like Muslim. هو كل المسلمين. I'm like man.
أنت ليه؟ عشان تحب سبيستون شكلك عشان كده.
Millennial.
ميلينيال سبيستون. قناة شباب مستقبل. كيف حياتك حاسة في المستقبل؟
أنت مجنون. You're crazy. Anyway.
ولا صاحبك AJ قال لك شنو؟
طيب صاحبي AG he hates when you mistake him for AJ because AJ is another nigga in our crew.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
AG.
Alright. AG. They're both light skinned. You will love him.
And I need an abbreviation كده.
أنت داير لك اسم
أنا كان الناس كلها بتقول لي عمرو حاف
أنت
كده.
what's your dad's name?
محي الدين.
AM? Nah.
AM
AM is not gonna work. Anyways. طيب قال لي إنه why he thinks Generation X and Millennials and Gen Z kind of have an entitlement problem.
Sure.
And they kind of have a problem where they expect الحياة تجيهم. يعني في عندك الفنان المتوقع إنه حتجيه والopportunity لغاية بابه. والزول الشاطر ولا ذكي متوقع إنه الحياة حتجيه لغاية بابه. أنا مواليد 91. And I understand that.
Okay.
I think I had it. أنا شخصياً I think at some point I had to overcome it to get real in life, okay? What do you think? أول شيء, do you think it exists? Do you have anything to say about it كبداية عشان ما أدخلك في مسار أنت أصلاً ما متفق فيه. أنت متفق
أنا
مع
معك جداً because it is a bit of a I think it's a way to allow the ego to continue existing. لما أنت متخيل عندك delusions كده ده في راسك إنه أنت أنا بالنيني you know what I mean like it's أنت قايل نفسك من وين يا ابني take responsibility.
صلي كده
كيف يحصل لي؟ أنا صليت 5 صلوات والنوافل في النص
ودعيت
وجبت
لأمي الشاي
ودخلت عليه صاحبي بالطيخة.
everything right. He's done everything right.
وقريت رياضيات قريت رياضيات بعرف كلها A تربيع زائد B تربيع بتساوي C تربيع كله بعرفه.
That's not true probably.
But like what I'm saying is because it's the stuff. It's like your parents telling you that this is how it's going to be. Okay. Back then كويس إنه أنت أوكي هيوروك أنت لو قريت شديت حالك في المدرسة وفي الجامعة هتبقى زول. It's not going to happen because there is a set of responsibility that you need to assert. You feel like by just doing the work in the background that things will just happen to you naturally. No. I feel like there is the other part of pursuing. You need to be able to pursue what you want honestly and also put that just let the energy be in that
the
sense.
The intention, you have to clear the intention. لا تصفي نيتك. أنا بشوف وأنا ما شايف الناس فاهمين معنى الحتة دي. تصفي نيتك دي معناها stop working on plan B, C, D and E.
Yeah, that's right.
فضي يعني صفي نيتك جد you know like really put your energy in what you're trying to do and be a little bit I hate the word مش desperate لكن be serious.
Be serious
stand
and be
on
hungry,
business.
Yeah. And don't let the thing say أنت مثلا داير توقف كحة and you أنت بتحاول توقف كحة لك 4 شهور.
مظبوط.
لكن كحيت في الآخر تقوم الكحة بتاعتك دي تعمل لك depression جوا بتبقى أنت زول مدبرس وبعدين you carry on that energy just because you've put effort into executing or becoming a certain thing and it doesn't happen you shouldn't take that energy of disappointment and feed it back into the process. You should be removed from the result of the thing happening.
I'm glad I had faith listening to that. لأنه أنا through the middle كده I was like no.
But
you arrived. You arrived. I give
Let
you.
Let me cook, bro.
No, I love it. Cook as much as you like.
But that's part one.
So you agree it exists.
Yeah.
And with that commentary, طيب, help me list down what you think causes this.
Okay, fair, cool.
And you can say what you think, right? Because I got an opinion. Fuck.
اسمع الكحة دي موجودة معانا. انت if you make it لحد نهاية الحلقة You're a true hero, bro.
لو نجحها ذات it made it, هي برضه it's a hero.
It's a hero.
It's a character in this episode and we should just accept it. Intermittent coughing with a mild personality.
دي شنو يا مان وصفة؟ كمل.
المهم انت اللي تكمل.
انا the reason. Okay, so the first reason الديلوجن كان اهلك بيقولوا عليك وانت صغير اقرا وحتبقى شاطر ما تقرا تبقى القرايه اهم شيء. طلع الجوازة أهم من القراية يا معلم. يا بابا
انت يثق دي غشة يعني
غشانة. القرة اللي ينفخك كانوا يقولوا لي القرة اللي ينفخك.
لكن أنا I have to defend these parents لأنه هم أول شيء their intention was good.
That's
you can
true.
say that they probably were in a slave mindset وما واعيين لكن their intention was good. ثاني شيء القراية did not save our lives
but it
facilitated immigration, right?
That is true.
So okay, it's like gray. It's not black and white.
That's right.
طيب الكلام اللي كانوا بيقولوا لك أهلك و how they sell you success in the world and how they didn't give us the right map is what you're saying.
In a sense. In a sense. النقطة الثانية السوشيال ميديا and how العالم البر بتاع الماركتينج wants you to feel special because if they won't make you feel special then they can sell to you. That's big. If everyone feels like I deserve, what do you deserve? A new eyeliner, that's what you deserve. Now you go buy new eyeliners and shit.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? You deserve a new $700 shoe. Why? Have a friend who bought $500 shoes. Why? Those are regular feet.
This social media or marketing really from Western companies, I think, where indulge yourself, satisfy all your needs.
You deserve.
Go there.
You
deserve a right relationship. You deserve a new iPhone. You deserve a great car. You deserve to go on vacation. You deserve children.
أنت الحاجة الوحيدة اللي deserveها وجعل المغص جاك عشان أكلت كتير.
يعني بجد like يعني nobody ever promised anyone these things.
It's true.
لكن احنا we grow up expecting them. Okay.
That's all. أنا ما عندي أسباب تانية.
أنا I think also الentitlement بيجي أنا my opinion and I thought that was the only reason until I thought about it and I spoke to you and I spoke to other people. I realized this is multidimensional. But the reason that I always went back to was the birth of a welfare state.
Oh.
اللي هو how government comes into the picture takes a more and this is more true of the West. يعني حتى برضو I think rich Middle Eastern countries like الإمارات والسعودية they absolutely treat their publics like that. إن الحكومة تريحك أنت عشان أنت تكون تابع للحكومة. ما تكون تابع لسه قبيلتك أو أمك وأبوك أو رأيك أو your ancestors. أنت تكون ماشي مع what makes the market click. فالحكومة I think being in the welfare يعني مثلا in the 60s how the government started going to ghettos in America and the US government and giving checks to single mothers encouraged mothers not to seek families and broke down black. So I think African Americans are very well educated on this and the civil rights movement emphasized on this aspect and I think there's a report on it. Anyway,
I'm sure there's studies.
There's studies on it. But التدخل بتاع الحكومات ده أنا هسي مثلا شفته هنا. أنا شفته لما جيت أستراليا. When I came to Australia, I saw it. إنه there's and I think it's a thing that happens in all over the world, which is a natural migration where people in the country, when they grow up and they want to create a life, they move to the cities. Right? And when they move to the cities, obviously they're moving away from their people and and they come in the city alone, probably renting a little room, renting an apartment, finding a job, creating friends, and so on. And I think this is the opportunity that the government in Australia or in the Western world takes to indoctrinate your child. And I say indoctrinate, which I appreciate is a strong word, but I say that they give them that entitlement. And they sell them that software and they tell them what they can become and they tell them what values to drop, what values to pick up. And I think what that causes is kind of an entitlement because also the government is going to step in when you suffer a problem, let's say with your boyfriend, there's domestic, government is going to stop your boyfriend. Government is, if you get robbed, government is going to get your shit back. If you go broke and don't have a job, government is going to give you some checks until you get back on your feet. Nothing that free is free. This is in exchange for, I believe, subservience. It's in exchange for do what we say. And what they say is what? Is this liberal, weird agenda that people are kind of puking because of these days.
Okay, all right. I feel like, okay, fair, but it could be a bit of a stretch. Because it's maybe, is it a cause, do you think?
What is the cause?
Because it's happening with Gen Z. Maybe it's a cause.
I think it
Gen
happened
Z.
to us as well. I think our generation went through it. I think we're recent enough to have gone through it.
I mean, we all have friends who are from, like, say, the Emirates or Saudi Arabia, who don't have much of a desire to be anything outside of just having salary that comes from the government.
Yeah,
right? That's sort of a thing. That's there.
But that's a whole other and that actually can be a point in support of this because these people don't have governments. No government has them in their plans. يعني أنا هسه في السعودية. I'm not in the plans of the government. Not that I want to be, not that I think
you should or whatever, but
not that I'm mad about that, but I'm saying it is what it is. I'm not a part of the plan, so my parents are the ones that tell me, homie, you got to study, you got to do this, you got to create your own shot. It's like an ISO player in basketball. We got to create our own shots. We got to be the playmaker and the scorer. Whereas most other places, not most of the developed world, it's kind of, you don't have to be an ISO player. Just, I'll give you the pass, shoot the shot. Don't ask me where the pass came from, really. But I think why you bring that up is important because yes, we have people living paycheck to paycheck and kind of thanking God for it back in the Middle East, which is, I think, is a form, are remnants of a slave mentality. And I'm just gonna say it, man. Life is too short to caress. I know some of these people are my friends. I don't give a fuck because the truth is the truth. I think there is a bit of it that is a remnant of a slave mentality, and I think it's natural to have a remnant of that as we've been subjected to that kind of pressure for such a long time. But I think that also allows us to be free, because if we break through the shackles of our social programming in that situation, we're actually in nobody's plans. And if we get a little bit of luck, we can really say something original.
Are you talking, when you mentioned this just now, are you talking about the immigrants in those places?
Yes, I'm not talking about the Emirati and the Saudi. The Emirati and the Saudi is like the white Australian to me, in terms of their government and their relationship with it. Like I said today, even like you can see, check it statistically. Saudi Arabia's young people would have gotten in more debt than the last generation already.
That's true.
Yeah, because why? I'm just gonna leave it there.
I don't know why.
Like, think about it.
Fulani.
لا يا أخي. Anyways, what type of erotic shit is that, man? Anyways. يا أخي ما جد. Anyway.
ما تسمع.
لا ما هي طريقة إنك أنت تكون dependent on the government. It's a way to make the government more powerful, more relevant, more. يعني when the government, the person who's like, زي تعريف ابن خلدون للgovernment قال لك a government, what is it was like deemed the best definition of government. I said it, I think, in a previous episode, where government is an institution that prevents injustice except that which itself causes, right?
Ooh.
Like, is a criminal that stops other people from doing crime, but I am going to do the crime.
الكبير في الحارة.
Exactly, right? So I think the governments in these countries today, well, of course they will control you through your desires. That's what 1984 is about. That's what Brave New World by Huxley is about. Basic literature, which I think a lot of people read. لكن إنه بيسيطروا عليك by your desires. هسي in Australia, this is clear. The sexualization, the indulgences, the amount of entertainment we have. In Saudi Arabia, food is a huge source of entertainment. And then just things become more indulgent, and then if you're too indulgent, you won't have a cause, man. Because if you lack purpose, you escape through indulgences to your senses. And if you have so many indulgences to your senses, you probably will weaken your purpose. And this is a mutually inclusive kind of thing. So that's what I think. I think the relationship of Saudi Arabia and Emirat to its people is like this, maybe a little bit better. I think Arabs get a lot more free shit from their people. I think the tribal associations kind of weaken or not weaken the government, but not enable it to go that deep in controlling the individuals.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they do still have a sense of identity.
Yeah, which is their tribe, and their tribe is God. A lot of them still believe that, my tribe first, then everything else. But that is also eroding.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
They live in the city, get involved with technology. Kids kind of don't care about that as much, so on and so forth. Yeah.
All right, I think we need to cut it out now. I think we're done for time,
oh yeah, we got 10 minutes to close.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes, and well, thank you very much. Thank you for bringing us back Amro, again,
made it.
my trusted partner. I missed doing this.
Same here.
And we missed y'all. Please come into the comments. We're gonna make, we already made a couple of decisions on how to bring content about next year. We're gonna share more of that with you, but we're back. We're not going away. And the break we took was not a break of not knowing what to do. No, but we just got busy with everything going on. There's a war back home. There is what's happening in Palestine. There is us who have to do jobs for a living as well. And we're just like you. We do this because we want to create the conversation, not because we're living a better life than everyone. We all have a shared responsibility. So let's all talk together and drop your shit in the comments. And yeah, just interact with us.
ادينا كحة أخيرة للكاميرا.